was cold, all alone. No place for home every day, so afraid. But you called my name, turned my eyes to the lies.
But the fact that our president has to take on the Ninth Circuit to court just shows how deeply divided our country is. Basically, the temper tantrums are going to continue.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're so used to getting their way.
Things like that.
They're
They
so
always get their
used
way.
to getting their way, and they're not getting their way
Anymore.
We're winning.
We're winning.
If you are a Christian conservative, you're winning. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, you got to get behind.
Hey everybody, it is Leah and Michelle coming at you Friday, February 10th, 2017.
Okay, so I don't know if many of you have heard, but Trump's travel policy had gone to what is known as our Ninth Circuit of Appeals, and in a scathing rebuke, 3-0, they had this weird.
Here's the thing, I don't know if you guys were able to see, and if you weren't, you have to go and watch Trump read the law that gives him the right, not only the right, but like he needs to do this.
He has the ability he has the ability to have this executive order. There's a law that was for Reagan, it's for Bush, it's for Clinton, it's for Obama.
Responsibility, that's the word.
Obama imposed it or whatever, to do what he seems right, to not let certain people in or out of this country. It's a very simple law.
Like we talked about yesterday, there are some things that shouldn't be in the president's hands. This is one of them. This is one of the things that should be, I should say.
What Joe Scarborough has to say.
Let's actually get to the heart of the matter and then we'll try and take it apart. Late yesterday, another court battle now brewing after a federal appeals court unanimously refused to reimpose the president's order halting visitors and immigrants from 7 countries. In a 29-page decision, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals questioned the administration's motives and decided that the order was unlikely to survive legal challenges. Here's Democratic Governor Jay Inslee of Washington, one of the plaintiff states challenging the ban on MSNBC
These
last
are the cuckoo
night.
people.
The president lost on numerous ways for lack of evidence. He did not present evidence that this was a security threat to the United States that could be remedied by this effort. He did not present evidence that this did not discriminate against the Muslim faith. It was clear from the evidence that was presented, this does discriminate. It sends Muslims to the back of the bus.
The President of the United States responded shortly after the decision.
Guess what? Under Sharia law, all the women have to sit at the back of the bus.
In Iran.
Doesn't put Muslims in the back of the bus, they put themselves in the back of the bus. They put their women in the back of the bus, you women vagina hat wearing marchers.
It's actually hilarious if you travel to Iran and you're a woman.
Gosh!
Sit in the back of the bus.
My gosh!
And writing in all cap letters on Twitter, "See you in court. The security of our nation is at stake." And he had this to
was
say.
on Donald Trump's Twitter. Tweet, 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 tweet.
NBC News moments later.
Oh, sorry.
So you want to appeal this to the Supreme Court? We'll see them in court. It's a political decision, and we're going to see them in court. I look forward to doing it. So you believe the judge's meeting? We have a situation where the security of our country is at stake, and it's a very, very serious situation. So we look forward, as I just said, to seeing them in court.
So do you think this has undercut the early days of your presidency? This is such a core issue.
This is just a decision that came down, but we're going to win the case.
The president said that he plans to select a solicitor general who would argue the case at the Supreme Court by next week.
So let's get
there you go.
A little context around this. Benjamin Witte is the executive editor of the blog Lawfare and a senior fellow at Brookings, writes this. Let's deal with the moral throat clearing and virtue signaling of the opinion first. Lawyers dream about becoming judges, particularly Ninth Circuit judges, to write opinions like this. So phrases about how the president is not above the law are inevitable. Ignore all that stuff. It's exciting, it's fun to read, it's a reminder that we live in interesting and dangerous times, but it's not ultimately what this case turns on. This case is about 2 big questions, only one of which the panel's decision today even mentions. The first question is how broad the president's authority is to limit admissions from the relevant 7 countries under a statute that gives him sweeping power to do this. quote, whenever the president finds the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens, as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens.
So that's the statute that the president relied on. That's a statute that gives the president broad, overwhelming power in this process. So that's what the court will look at to see if the president went beyond the four corners of that law.
Right. So
Although it does mention green card holders.
Well, it's in there, but go ahead.
So he goes on. In the entire opinion, the panel did not bother even to cite the statute, which forms the principal statutory basis for the executive order. That's a pretty big omission over 29 pages.
And it was remarkable, and I saw a lot of legal commentary last night saying the same thing, that not only did the Ninth not talk about the statute that gives the president power, this is what you examine to see if he's gone beyond the boundaries. I mean, that would be like the court taking a free speech case and not talking about the First Amendment.
She just sighed. Like, this is just so tiring.
Preposterous. And when you start seeing Chris Matthews and Alan Dershowitz and a lot of people on the left and the right, and here's somebody at Brookings saying that I mean, it's a good example. You have a, you know, our law professors always told us bad facts make bad law. Horrific facts coupled with horrific politics makes for horrific law. And that's exactly what happened here. A couple things really quickly. They ignored the ruling law. They, just as a matter of course, gave the state of Washington standing. There's no specific person with a specific injury that is specifically going to be redressed by this action, which usually is how you get standing. The Ninth decided not to last night. And also, you talked about green card holders. They radically extended the rights beyond mere green card holders and actually did something the Supreme Court has never done and extended this to potential claims for possible due process rights even for illegal immigrants. Now, with this sort of language, I tweeted last night, I would have loved to see Justice Scalia's response to this. He would have chopped it up in a million pieces. By the way, and while I'm saying this, remember, I'm deeply offended by this executive order. I have done nothing but eviscerate this executive order for 3 weeks. It's a nightmare. The way it was set up was a nightmare.
The rollout.
This decision, though, is laughable. And then this is for me the most disturbing part of the entire case. And by the way, at the end, this isn't going to matter because I think the White House is going to fix this up. Briefly fix it up. They can do a couple of quick changes and take care of these problems. But the Ninth said the government has pointed to no evidence that any alien from any of the countries named in the order have perpetrated a terrorist attack in the United States, as if it is the executive branch's job to actually get the intel community in and say these are all the things that are going to happen. No, in fact, Barack Obama worked with a bipartisan Congress to come up with these 7 countries, not because there were specific attacks, but because they saw a deteriorating security situation that they wanted to remedy. They wanted to prevent attacks. That's the entire purpose of that. Anyway, so this will be overturned. But I think, let's bring in via Skype, professor at George Washington University, Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, if anyone in the White House has any sense, they will just take a couple of days, use the interagency process.
So, he basically said it all from a person who actually was angry about this rollout and how it happened. As a lawyer and a reporter, Scarborough is saying, listen, this is not right. This is an activist court. Once again, doesn't even mention the statute that Donald Trump was saying, I have authority. He has all the authority in under our Constitution.
They couldn't quote it.
Right.
They couldn't go back to it. They couldn't refer to it because it's so clear. It is so black and white.
They actually, in their 30 and 29 page report, they actually quote him, well, he did say it was a Muslim ban like months and months ago.
When he was running, there were times where Trump talked about issuing a Muslim ban. But guess what? That is not what he did here. Because,
exactly.
We've said this before, it's worth saying again. There are several countries that are much, 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 much larger in population for Muslims that are not listed in the 7 countries.
Right.
It's not a Muslim ban.
Right. 80% of the world's Muslims are not affected by this policy. So,
the people calling it a Muslim ban just must be like a little bit, cuckoo
I
in the
appreciate
head.
Trey Gowdy's words on this.
Yeah.
But the fact that our president has to take the Ninth Circuit to court just shows how deeply divided our country is and how polarizing, how basically the temper tantrums are going to continue.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're so used to getting their way. I mean, they got their way with Roe v. Wade. They got their way with taking prayer out of schools. They got their way with
well, different things like,
Care
let's say,
Act.
taking the 10 Commandments down off of different, just even little things like that.
They're
They
so
always get their
used
way.
to getting their way, and they're not getting their way
Anymore.
We're winning.
We're winning.
If you are a Christian conservative, you're winning. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, you got to get behind him. Well, let me just tell you what Trey Gowdy had to say.
Let's listen to Trey. Y'all
Okay. This is the statement that he gave about this, about the Ninth Circuit. He says, "No one familiar with the Ninth Circuit of Appeals should be surprised by today's ruling. The Ninth Circuit has a well-earned reputation of being presumptively reversible," meaning they go straight to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court will overrule them. Unlike the district court order, there is at least a court opinion which can be evaluated. Of particular interest is the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals' suggestion that even those unlawfully present in the country have certain due process rights with respect to immigration. The court cites Zavadis versus Davis for the proposition that even aliens who have committed and been convicted of certain crimes while in the United States unlawfully may have due process rights with respect to travel to or from the United States. In addition, the court ventures curiously into its own role in reviewing a president's national security conclusions. Legal permanent residents, non-citizens with current valid visas, non-citizens with expired visas which were once valid, aliens with no legal standing, aliens who have committed a crime but have not yet been deported, and aliens who are not even present in the United States but seek to come here, just a few of the categories the Supreme Court will need to determine what process is due, if any. It seems clear to most of us, not on the Ninth Circuit of Court of Appeals, there is no right to come to this country for non-citizens of the United States. It also seems clear judges are neither in a position practically nor jurisprudentially to second-guess national security determinations made by the Commander-in-Chief. There is a reason we elect the Commander-in-Chief and do not elect federal judges. For those like Alexander Hamilton who once or now wondered if the judicial branch would be too weak, wonder no more. Because I saw some Christians outside of the prayer practice, Ann Voskamp, some famous Christian author, saying, Jesus was a refugee and we have to take in the refugees. I have to let you know that there are billions of people on this planet.
We can't take them all in.
And we can't take them all in. So your theory is not based in reality. If you cared about people,
you got to go to where they are.
You would go down to Haiti and fix what's going down in Haiti. You would actually help fix what's going on in Syria instead of just bringing a few people. Millions of people are affected by this.
No difference.
Right.
I mean, when you look
in the
at
broad
it,
scheme of
in
things.
the broad, of course, anytime you're dealing one-on-one with somebody, you
exactly.
wish, don't we all wish that we could take those starving kids that they throw on the commercial all into our home, right?
Exactly.
But we can't take them all into our home. It just, you can't do it.
Right, exactly. So they're not thinking straight. Christian conservatives who are not, they're just not
I'll tell you something. Leah had this playing in the kitchen while we were cleaning and stuff, and I literally told Leah, I said, can we shut this off? I was starting to get sick to my stomach because I'm realizing the mass lie that is being fed by the mass media, mainstream media. We say MSN and nobody knows what we're talking about. Listen, it's disgusting. The everyday man is watching this stuff and they seem so convincing. you really want to believe what they're saying, and that's why our country is so ignorant. And that's why it's so important for you guys to watch different alternative media, not just us, but other Alex Jones or whatever, RT, you name it.
Check a lot of sources and check them against each other. So
and start putting out your own stuff.
Exactly. This is mind-boggling to me. I could go on and on about it, but stay tuned I want to show you how Iran reacted to this. In normal situations, if I don't agree with a law that England has against the United States or something like that, or Iran against the United States, I'm not going to go outside and chant death to England or death to Australia or even death to Iran or even death to Muslims, okay? Right. I might ask them to stay away from me if they want to cause me harm.
Right.
But Iran isn't saying Americans can't come visit because we really don't want to. Right? Okay?
Exactly.
So if they can't do unto me what we've done unto you, you can't come here, and we're like, okay, fine.
You know what? Actually,
no problem.
They're happy to have the women come to Iran because they're allowed to grope you. If you're a single woman by yourself, it is just known that if you're not accompanied by a male that's your husband, they can just grope you.
Someone shared a video of a woman running across Iran, and all these wonderful people came in. She filmed a documentary. All these wonderful people came out. And I'm sure there are wonderful people in Iran. Do not get me wrong. I'm sure. Because there are people who don't want to be under this oppressive government.
Absolutely.
People don't believe in it. But there was a revolution in 1979 and the Islamic State took control. Now, if you do travel to Iran, a few points to remember if you're a female.
Did you want to make this a separate video?
I'm going to just kind of put a couple in here.
Okay, sure.
At the end
Give them a little taste.
So, don't beat around the bush. You have to do certain things. You have to wear the headscarf. You can wear any kind of pants you want, but you have to wear a cloak or a tunic that goes down to like your knees or something like that. If you don't, you're going to get in trouble. All your clothes have to be like loose fitting, okay? Now, you have to cover your hair. What's so funny is that in reality, the dress code is more relaxed and open to interpretation. Right. If you go to Iran, if you're traveling on an inner city bus that's going around the city, you have to enter into the middle of the bus as a female and sit in the back.
But that's okay.
If you're traveling with a male companion, be prepared for everyone to just talk to your male companion. If you're traveling with somebody that you're not married to, it's best to just pretend that you're married. Lie. You won't get a room. If you're
a single woman there and you're traveling by yourself, you are not allowed to initiate conversation with any male. They're allowed to initiate conversation with you, but you are not to initiate conversation
There
with
are
them.
infringements that include wearing sunglasses above the headscarf, failing to wear a coat that fully covers your bottom.
Some of y'all wearing them yoga pants ought to take that one, actually.
Don't want to show off them honeys. Wearing bright colors.
Don't wear them bright
Wearing
colors.
nail polish.
You cannot wear nail polish.
Wearing sandals that show the feet or ankles and not fully covering your hair.
That should be good for this one, and they can watch the next one.
But also be prepared that if you are a female and you do happen to get on a bus and you happen to stand next to males, you'll probably be groped.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Because that's what they do in Iran. Because
that's what they do.
If you're by yourself, then you're a loose woman. And if you're a loose woman, then they're allowed under their law to take advantage of you and rape you. It's just under their law. It's fine. Yeah. All right. So
this is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if they're allowed to grope you. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3 and ring the bell so that you get notifications. Otherwise, you will not. Find us on Facebook and come back in a minute because you know you're going to want to see more.
I was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you called my